which obviously if I can do, more reps of a given weight, I'm probably going to be able to grow muscle more efficiently. And obviously you're going to improve power, you're going to improve strength. All right, so let's get into the sports supplements.
Cool, let's do it.
Creatine.
So
creatine.
Creatine.
Yeah, this is probably the most studied, along with caffeine, supplement that there is. And it is a myth that it's going to damage your kidneys. Okay, there has to be some at least pre-existing damage, and even that is up in the air. But for healthy people, you're not going to cause liver or kidney damage. In fact, your own body produces about 1 gram of creatine a day by itself. And you also, most people who eat meat or omnivores, get about 1 gram a day from their meat. So that means you're getting around 2 grams a day naturally. Yeah. And most people will dose with creatine 3 to 5 grams. 5 grams if you're a bigger guy, 3 grams if you're a woman is usually sufficient. And what does that do? Who is this good for? This is good for athletes, people who want to increase strength, who want to grow, their muscles, right? Yeah. Because it's a phosphate donor, creatine is, and it's going to help you replenish ADP and turn that into ATP so you can do more work in a given amount of time, which obviously if I can do, more reps of a given weight, I'm probably going to be able to grow muscle more efficiently. And obviously you're going to improve power, you're going to improve strength. So there's a lot of evidence for that, as well as with certain muscle wasting diseases, certain muscular dystrophies. So it's a really good thing.
Yeah. So it's crazy how much creatine and the connotation that it has changed over the last 10 years. Because I remember, and there's a component of bro science in this, but I definitely remember when I was in high school on the football team, they would have, creatine had this weird association that it was almost like a steroid. Like it was like this illegal sort of like very mystery supplement,
I remember
and
that.
it was so weird. It was kind of taboo even to like admit to other people you were taking creatine. But as it turns out, like Katie mentioned, it ends up being one of the most safe and also one of the most researched supplements out there. I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding as far as how it works. People think that it just like puts water in your muscles or something.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that may or may not, that's probably, that's a side effect.
Yeah, exactly. It does cause you to retain more intracellular water, which is different than extracellular. Yeah. So it's not going to cause you to look less defined and more watery and bloated. No, it actually makes your muscles like bigger. It fills you out more.
Yeah. But its main function is in increasing the turnover of the substrate required to contract your muscles. So like Katie mentioned, ATP, we always hear in our science class, like in our bio class, that's like our main currency of energy. And when it's basically one adenine, not adenosine, adenine with 3 phosphates, right? And when you break off one of those phosphates, energy gets released. But now you have only 2 left. Your body wants to rebuild it so we can use it again. So what your creatine does is helps quickly rebuild that molecule so you can just keep the muscle contracting. Now, another myth is that people sort of use it for anything, right? Oh, I can use creatine, it's going to help my life in every regard. And that's not entirely the case. So if you understand the way that your body uses energy, you understand that creatine has its place with regard to strength athletes and power athletes for the most part. So it's going to have very minimal, bodybuilders, powerlifters, Olympic weightlifting athletes. It's not going to have a huge impact on people who do a lot of cardio or endurance athletes, because it's the mechanism where your body is using energy in that mode of exercise is very different compared to when you're doing powerlifting or weightlifting. So that's some things to keep in mind. Definitely for strength athletes, I 100% recommend it. And, there's some people who are talking now about creatine even having like cognitive benefits. So almost turning into like another like vitamin that people are going to end up taking because there's just so many different benefits that it can provide.
Right. But fat loss isn't one of them, just to be clear, because some people have asked that question.
In fact, one of the main symptoms that people experience, especially when they start taking creatine, is weight gain. And we know, like based on what Katie just said, that it's sort of a superficial or artificial weight gain. It's not that you're actually,
you're not putting on fat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's your body's holding a bit more water.
And causing you to look more full. Yeah. Not to be confused with bloated and less defined.
Yeah. Some people do experience some GI issues as well.
Yeah.
So that's something to look out for. So maybe
that kind of bloating. And the way you want to deal with that, guys, is either take your creatine monohydrate in like hot water and try to get it to, it's not very soluble, that form isn't, but you can get micronized creatine or creatine HCl, which isn't superior to creatine monohydrate. It's just that it's more bioavailable, but at the same time, it's more expensive. So that kind of evens things out, but it can be absorbed a little bit better. And that's the problem. That's what causes people to feel sick and have stomach cramping, is that it's slower absorbed. It's not absorbed very well from your GI tract, and it can pull water in there. And that's no good for people. And you can also take smaller doses at a time. Sorry.
No. I was just going to confirm what you said, because I know that there are a lot of forms of creatine out there, and that does tend to confuse a lot of people. HCl is one of those. I can't remember the other one. It's like a purple pill.
There's like Crealkaline. There's like the blends.
Yeah. But those, again, just to reiterate what Katie just mentioned, they could be a bit more efficient in terms of your body's ability to absorb them. So you just require less, but at the same time, you end up paying more for them. So creatine monohydrate is sort of the most basic form, the cheapest form. It's been studied extensively, more than these other forms have been. So you can't go wrong. If you experience some GI distress, maybe give one of these other forms a shot. But if you can tolerate it pretty well, I highly recommend just sticking 3 to 5 grams every single day, training days and rest days, and just.
And guys, there's no best time to take it. That brings me to another point, because all you want is your muscle cell to get saturated with this stuff. And that's just a product of taking enough over a longer period of time.
Exactly. There's no real acute effect. It's more of a chronic.
It's not like you take it, boom, you get an effect. Like this is something that builds up over time.
So caffeine, you take it and you get an immediate effect. Creatine is the opposite. You take it over a long period of time, you get your muscle cells saturated with it, and then you become more effective and you can use it.
Is it safe to take 10 grams of creatine a day? Well, first of all, I don't know why you would, because it's kind of a waste of money. At some point, the creatine in your will saturate your muscle cells, and then taking beyond that amount doesn't help anything. So it's kind of a waste of money for most people, right? Bigger people though require more. There's like a range.
Yeah. We actually never spoke about a loading phase with creatine.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what this is a reference to.
If it's just a loading phase, I thought he was talking about for like extended periods.
I'm just devil's advocate.
It's not necessary to load, first of all. But a lot of people will load creatine for 3 to 5 days. They'll take about 20 to 25 grams of creatine a day throughout that time. So obviously it's safe. It's not going to cause any problems in the short term, clearly. Probably not even over the long term, because this is something your body naturally makes. And 10 compared to what your body naturally makes, it's not that much higher. You're going to be getting about 2 grams a day from your body and food anyways. Yeah, it's not necessary to load. I know that's may not be related to this question, but I was just thinking about it.
Yeah,
and
we didn't address it before.
Exactly. Like if you take just 3 for an extended period.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, it's not going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. The loading phase, it is effective. It will saturate your muscle cells faster. But if you consider the small benefit of having your muscle cells saturated a few days earlier, it's not going to yield any long-term
versus
results.
The bloating you might get and intestinal cramps from taking 20 to 25 grams a sitting.
Super not. For me, it's not worth it.
Yeah.